For the Phillies to be successful again in 2009 and hopefully go back to the World Series and win it, they're going to need a combination of things to really make it work. One of those things, of course, is health. The Phillies were kind of blessed last season to have not too many injuries, and when they did have injuries, they had guys who were able to step in and kind of, fill the void somewhat, like Eric Bruntlett for Jimmy Rollins. You had guys like that who can kind of come in and do a nice little job for a small period of time. Jeff Jenkins, of course, did his job when Jason Worth and Shane Victorino went out, things like that. The 2009 team faces some definite problems with injuries. There could be some potential big ones there. Cole Hamels is the one that everybody talks about. He threw over 300 innings probably last season with the spring training and the playoffs combined. He's definitely a risk. Of course, this is a guy who's thrown a lot of innings lately, so I wouldn't necessarily say he's number one, the guy, because he has thrown over 200 innings the past couple seasons with all the minor league innings combined. But he's still someone that you have to look out for. I think the Phillies will use him very lightly in April and May, and as the season goes on, of course, progress. Another guy who I think actually has potential is Brad Lidge. This is a guy who's been kind of hampered throughout his career with small injuries. Watch out for him. I don't think he's a big risk, but I think he's someone that you have to watch out for. Another guy, Pedro Feliz, who always has kind of this history of having a back problem and some other little cramps here and there. If he, of course, goes down, Greg Dobbs steps in and fills the void. But there are a wealth of guys, Miguel Cairo, Marcus Giles, Jason Donald, who could come in and step in and be that guy. So a Pedro Feliz injury wouldn't be a huge problem, but it would be something that there would be a noticeable difference because Feliz, of course, is such a great defender. There are a couple other big, injury risks. Of course, Victorino and Jason Worth are two that have always kind of been around that. Carlos Ruiz is possible. There's always catcher injuries. The Phillies were lucky enough not to have any last season, but if Ruiz goes down, then of course Lou Marson might come up and play in the majors. There's a lot of things that could happen there. It can get a little dicey. So injuries are a big concern for the Phillies in 2009, as they are with every team. But if the Phillies do get hit with some injuries, they better hope that they have guys below them who can step in and fill the void for at least a little while. They do have enough guys, but if some of those positions like catcher go down, I'm really not as sure of Lou Marson to maybe fill in at a certain period of time as a backup. He's still very young. Also, Brad Lidge, if he goes down, Ryan Madson becomes closer. What happens at the 8th inning? Is Chad Durbin reliable enough to pitch the 8th inning? I don't know. So there are these problems here and there. So the Phillies are going to have to be very careful with how they discipline themselves in 2009 and take those early innings and distribute them well enough so that the risks aren't as high. That's the big issue. So hopefully the Phillies are made pretty healthy in 2009, but you never know what can happen.